As the clock struck midnight, Thomas heard it again, a whisper behind the faded wallpaper in his bedroom. At first, he dismissed it as the sound of mice skittering around in the walls. But tonight, the scratching was too loud, too insistent. He turned to his wife, Mary, who was fast asleep. Good, let her sleep. He didn't want to wake her. He sat up in bed and strained to listen. Behind the whisper came the sound of dragging metal moans. Then a voice, raspy and weak, began to form in the darkness. "Let me out," it whispered. "Please let me out." Then another voice, stronger, more insistent. "Help me," it cried. "For God's sake, help me." Thomas felt a chill crawl up his spine. What was that? Was he going crazy? He looked at Mary, still sleeping. He got out of bed and walked toward the closet, the voices growing louder. He opened the closet door and found nothing but old clothes and boxes. The voices seemed to be coming from behind the wallpaper. He reached out and peeled it away from the wall, revealing a layer of plaster. Beneath that, he saw something that made his blood run cold. Etched into the plaster was a series of deep scratches, each one forming part of a desperate plea for help. He traced the scratches with his fingers and gasped. They were covered in what looked like dried blood. He ran to the sink and turned on the light. Under the harsh illumination, the scratches looked even more gruesome. They were the mark of some kind of torture, some kind of punishment. He thought about calling the police, but what would he tell them? There was nothing there, just an empty room and a closet full of clothes. By morning, the scratches would be gone, the whispers in his head would fade away. He'd be left with nothing but his sanity. He re-wallpapered the room, trying to convince himself it was all in his head. But as the sun set that evening, he heard the voices again. This time they were coming from outside the walls. He watched in horror as the wallpaper began to peel away from the walls, revealing the scratches beneath. Then the walls themselves began to close in, the plaster groaning and shifting like a living thing. Trapped against the far wall, he could only watch as the walls moved in, the scratching growing louder, more frantic. He screamed for help, but no one could hear him. No one was there. He was all alone. Then, as the room closed in around him, he saw it, a sliver of moonlight revealing his own silhouette now etched behind the wallpaper. A dark mirror image of the tortured soul trapped within. And as the light hit his face, he saw the scratching stop and a smile spread across his face. Finally, he was free. Now he could help them. Now they could all be together. In the darkness, the scratching started again. Louder now, more insistent. "Let me out," it whispered. "Please let me out." Then a voice, raspy and weak, joined in. "Help me," it cried. "For God's sake, help me." And then another. "Help me," they all cried together. "For God's sake, help me."